Okay, right, now that we have our discovery ship, I'm going to show you how to do some actual discovering. Now we've already dealt with the main scanner, which we call honking the system, which will tell you which planets are in the system uh, before you start. And then we use the FSS, full systems, full spectrum system scanner, to zoom on in each planet, find out exactly what they are, what they've got in them, and stuff like that. So if I just do that now, so this is what I've done. I've nipped back to 38 Arietis. That had a couple of high-value planets in there. So this is where we left it. So if you zoom into the planets, um, we had in the top right the actual stuff it's made up of and a whole load of other information about it. Now, where it says features, there's none. So other than getting money for this one by getting all the more details with the detailed surface scanner, by getting those, we can sell it for even more money when we get back. So what you could do um, if you're doing the road to riches, and this gets you a higher earnings rate than what I showed you, but you need to experiment with it and see what the rates works out at. So you've honked if you've just arrived in a system and you've honked it, uh, you'll see something like that. The only thing is these planets won't be named, and you won't know what they are. What like, and now because we've scanned them with the FSS, it tells you that it's a water world. But if you're using the Road to Riches list, it tells you that planet 3 and 4 are one's an Earth-like world, one's a terraformable water world. So coming back to the game, so we know it's planets number 3 and 4. So starting from the start, 1, 2, it's that one and that one. So all you would do is, I'm going to do this one, select that one, and use this symbol to navigate to it, and then um, it'll appear on your mini radar, and you can point at it. So there it is. It's quite a long way away. Um, and what will happen is when you fly to it, when you get close enough to it, your um, main scanner will pick it up and scan it like you did with the FSS and give you all the details of it. So that only then leaves the detailed surface scanner to actually map it out and get the maximum money for it. So you don't have to sit at the start and use the FSS like you did before. If you're only doing the high value ones, which is the way to make the most money per unit of time, then you would select it like I've just shown you and fly to it, because you've got to fly there anyway. So there's no point in using the FSS, because the main scanner is going to do it for you when you get to it, ready to scan it with the DSS. So, sounds a little bit complicated, but it's quite straightforward. Right, before we get there, I need to show you the key bindings for the detailed surface scanner. Um, yeah, first of all, hang on, before I do that, let's just do fire groups. Oop, back to game. So the way I've set it up now um, is I've got the main discovery scanner on trigger 2 and the detailed surface scanner on trigger 2, but I've got them in separate fire groups. So when I press my fire groups, if you look at now on the HUD, I'm in the blue discovery mode. So when I press my fire groups button, you can see it changes from surface scanner to discovery scanner. So when you arrive at the star, you need it in that mode. When you arrive at the star, you need it in that mode. But as you fly towards the planet to use a detailed surface scanner, you can change modes like that. And at the moment it's out of range because you have to be close to use it, and you have to be stationary. Right, so now let's have a look at the key bindings. Now, the scanner doesn't have an entry button like what the FSS did. Um, Now, I'm not too sure, but for your weapons, uh, you've got your two fire buttons, and then down here, I think this is a default, firing deploys hard points. So what happens is when you pull the trigger, your hard points come out. Now, although a discovery scanner isn't a hard point, I'm not sure whether you need to have that on to actually deploy the thing when you pull the trigger. Because when you pull the trigger, it enters into the mode. So whether that's just automatic or whether it comes from this, I'm not too sure. So just make sure you've got that on. That's useful anyway, even when you're doing combat. You don't want to mess about with getting hard points out with a separate button when you just pull the trigger, which you're going to use anyway to fire the weapon. So I would always have that on. Right, so let's have a look at the scanner down the bottom. So it's very similar to the full system spectrum scanner. Why they didn't just copy over all the bindings, because it works exactly the same, I've no idea. But they want a new set of bindings, and what's worse, they're different. So what you need is an axis to move the cursor around like you did before. So again, I'm using my mouse, but you can use down here your joystick. So it'll be pitch and yaw. Yaw goes from side to side, pitch goes up and down. And I'm using my mouse. But interestingly, so I've got my X to yaw like before, but now instead of pitch inverted, it's pitch. Remember on the FSS, for my mouse to work properly the right way, I had to have pitch inverted. But on this one, you don't. It's pitch. So why they've reversed it, I don't know. And the other thing is the mouse sensitivity. You want it very low. Um, Before we had it up here, so why it uses a different sensitivity, I don't know either. But there you go. That's what it is. So I'll just try it. Even though I just had it just now, I know just when I've been testing it, it was a bit too high. So I'm going to try that now. But you need to play with that to get it right. So that you can actually control the cursor with your mouse. Right. The other things you need is you need to be able to zoom in and out. So like on the FSS, I'm using my scroll wheel to come in and out. And the other thing you need, here it is, toggle front and back view. You need a button for that. So in my case, it's the scroll wheel push button. So a little bit awkward because if I miss, finger goes onto the mouse and fires a probe. Like if my finger sort of slips off it as I'm pushing it, because it is a bit stiff on mine. So I've got the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, the scroll button to reverse the view, and the normal mouse with the pitch normal to move the thing around the screen. That's all you need. And then one more to exit the mode. Here I could put a button on my joystick set up, but I haven't bothered. So I'm just going to use the backspace one, which is the default. So you need a button here. You can have two, of course, um, to exit the mode afterwards. Although you can exit by switching cockpit mode. Now, the button that you use to switch from the yellow combat cockpit mode to the blue discovery one, when you switch to combat mode, it automatically leaves the um, DSS mode. So you don't necessarily need a button there. You could do it like that. So it's simpler not to have one, but then you've got to press it twice because you'll exit into combat mode and then you press the combat mode, the cockpit mode button again, and it'll change back to discovery mode. So it's two presses, whereas this backspace is just one. Right, so that's the key bindings for it. So what we'll do now, we'll go and test it. Right, so same as before, you fly full throttle to the planet, like you would to a station, and then set 3/4 throttle as you approach it. Now you've got to bear in mind, it takes a while to slow down. So looking at the size of the planet, I've hit 0 throttle now. Let's see how long it takes to slow. You know, so it's about 4 or 5 seconds. So the idea is to get the planet the size equal to about half the distance between the two blue lines on my head-up display. So now I'm going to use the throttle manually, obviously being careful not to let that timer go below 7 seconds. So I'll just put it, when I got this close, I'll probably keep it about 10 seconds. There you go. You know, it depends whether you're in a hurry or not. You know, the faster you go, the quicker it is, but the more chance you've got of flying past it. Right. But you've got to bear in mind that it takes a while to slow down. So I'm just gradually reducing it now. And that looks about right. So if I just put that on that side, as you can see, it's now about half the width between those lines. It doesn't have to be exact. It's just a guideline. Right, so now we're ready to use the scanner. So when I press my button, it changes to this mode. So we just have a quick look at it. On the bottom left, it tells you the percentage of what you've discovered, and on the bottom right, which way you're looking at it. So looking at the front. So when I press my mouse scroll button now, it switches to the back view. It looks the same, but that's the problem. You need to know which one of those two it is. And it tells you the efficiency target of 7 probes. I think you get a bonus if you use fewer, but you don't really want to worry too much about that. Right, so I'm on the front view. So the idea, what will happen is each probe will cover a circle of that it'll expose. So the idea is to get them to cover the whole planet 100%. Right, so what happens is you get this line to the cursor, and as I move it out, did you see those dashes that appear in the center there? That is equivalent to the horizon. So if I fire a probe there, it'll land on the horizon. So I've got it on my mouse 2 button, and the same on the other side. Now, as I move out further, it says miss. What happens is the gravity bends the probe round towards the planet. That's why you've got to fire it further out. You can see it bending in now as the gravity's pulled it in. So you can see what's happened there. I've got a big patch there and a big patch there. And when you come out to miss, that means it's going to go right past the planet. So if I wanted to get one right on the very back, I need to come just inside. Where are we? Just inside where it says miss. There. So that should land in the middle of the back, but it doesn't always, because I guess my mouse isn't sensitive enough. So let's have a... So what we do now, if we switch to back view, I mean, you'll do it much quicker than this. I'm just doing it for explanation. So when I switch to back view, we see where we hit. So not quite all round the back. So we missed a bit. Right, so I've now got to get top and bottom and that bit there. So if I go back to front view, so I need one in the middle. I said top and bottom, didn't I? So it's got to be on the horizon here. And on the horizon there. So you don't have to cover 100%, but you've got to get like probably 90%, and then it tells you you've got 100%. And let's put one right in the middle. Cover that square. So there's just a bit at the back because I didn't get it quite right. So 86%. So now when I go to the back view, we find a bit I missed. So I need to land one about there. Now the thing is, when you look at the back view, it's reversed. Don't forget. So I had one on the horizon there, and when I tried to get just inside the miss, I sort of got there. So if I'd got the same there, that's the best I can do, I think. So I'm going to do the same. It looks like I'm doing the same side as the other one, but I'm not because I'm looking at the back. Don't forget. So there's the miss. So I need to go about that there. Let's see how we've done it. And hopefully it'll land just there like the other one did, but we'll see in a minute. Where's it gone? There it comes. No, I got dead center. Is that enough? Yeah, that's it. So there you go. Oh, I got an efficiency target bonus this time. It's the first one I got since I've just been practicing. So that's the planet all mapped out. And what would happen is, so I'm going to leave that now with my backspace button. So if I go back to the yeah, this is the FSS. I'm standing right next to the planet now, so it's showing me like this. When I found it on the FSS, in fact, what I'll do, I'll do it on another planet. Take that one there, because when you've zoomed in on the planet with your FSS next to the star, say you're just traveling in space and seeing what's about, and you want to make new discoveries and find weird things and whatever. So you go to a system by the star, honk your main scanner, then bring out your FSS, zoom in on all the planets, and when you've zoomed in on it, it'll show you this information. Now, see the top right-hand corner where it says features, none? That means there isn't anything there. You've got the resources, which is the metals and things it's made of. So if it's a landable planet, you can go there, blast some rocks, and get those things, which is useful for synthesis. You can synthesize limpets, you can synthesize ammo and repair stuff for your SRV. So I'll show you that in a minute. But but generally all the planets that you can land on have the stuff for synthesis. So it's only if you're after, I don't know, whatever it is, polonium, is it, that gets you the frameshift boost jump thing. You can synthesize a bigger jump if you've got the right stuff. So if you find a planet and you can go in with your SRV and find some rocks with the stuff in. But if this features, it might say geological features or alien features or something like that. You never know, it's whatever the planet's got. So in that case, you would then choose this planet, target it, and go and detail surface scan it to find out, to map out where those things are and what they are. So when you've done your detailed surface scan, that's only if it's got them, if it shows it in the features. Then in your, I think it's your navigation panel, they light up in there, so you can target them directly. If it says geysers or something, in your navigation panel you select it, and then you can fly to them, land in and go out in your SRV and have a look at them, or you can just have a look at them from your ship. If it said an alien structure or something like that, well, obviously you would want to get out in the SRV and investigate what you can do with it, you know, because normally you can interact with them in some way or another. So that's the detailed surface scanner. Just while I mentioned it, I'll show you synthesis. So that's on this panel in inventory. So coming down, it's this funny star thing down there. What's that? 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth if you count the first one. So the FSD one is there. So you just click it, and I have got no materials at the moment. Oh, I've got one vanadium. This is when I was messing about a while ago. So if you've got those things, a carbon, a vanadium, and a germanium, you can get a 25% bigger boost, a bigger frameshift drive jump. And if you go to the, how do I get this one? The premium one, you can get double the distance. So if your ship can jump 50 light years, if you've got one carbon, one germanium, one arsenic, one niobium, one yttrium, and one polonium, you can double that for one jump. which is useful because if you're in like really deep space and there's not many stars about, you can like almost get stranded. You know, you make a jump and you don't know where you're going, and then the next star you want to jump to is more than what jump range you have. You can cross that bridge by doing an FSD injection. So these other things are for mainly for combat. So you can, like, if you're using multi-cannons and run out of ammo, you can make some more. And then, but the other things down the bottom, there's limpets there, which are really useful for repairing a ship. If you're carrying a repair limpet controller, you don't actually carry the limpets because it reduces your jump range because it makes your ship heavier. But what you do when you want to use the limpets, you can just synthesize them here. Oops. What happens is when you're in the super cruise, you're still going forward slowly. So I could see I was approaching the planet. I was trying to get this over before I got there, but never mind. Right, so back on the synthesis. So down here is the SRV. So when your hull gets beaten up, you can repair it because there's no stations out in deep space. You have to be self-sufficient. So your SRV, you know, when you bump over rocks and things, as you're going to see later, takes a bit of damage and the hull goes down and down. But you can repair it if you've got iron and nickel, which you find on just about every planet. So it doesn't take very much to repair it. You'll always have these things. So if you're in deep space, what you'll do, and you're exploring planets and things, you'll land from time to time, blast a load of rocks. I'll show you how to do that when we're in the SRV. Collect up the stuff, and then do your synthesis to repair it. And the same with the fuel. So there's the ammo which you need for blasting the rocks, and there's your refuel. So that's the three things for the SRV. I think that's the main ones. The other ones are mainly combat. But you can see how it works. You've just got to have the materials. So all the time you'll be out collecting materials and stuff, and they just stay in your store, and you know, use them when you need them. Right. So what we want to do now is the SRV. So we need to find a landable planet. Right, so let's say we'd used our FSS and we'd found a planet. Let me just get this one. Right, and let's say in the features it said it got something that you wanted to have a look, or if it was just one that had the right resources on it and you wanted to go and land on it. So can leave that. So when you look at the system map, any planet with this blue ring around it is landable. So these ones aren't. So we can't land on those, even though they look nice. If you get the little sort of pips on the blue, it's there's a station there that you can land at. I think, or whether it has other settlements that you can't with no service. I'm not too sure, but I think it means it's got a landable station on it. If you see these little like blue pips on it, right? So we fly to the planet, you know, with 75% throttle. Sorry, with 100% throttle as normal, and then when you get to the 7 seconds, you go 3/4 throttle, so that we can start to approach it. Now, in this planet, I haven't got a targeted landing spot. I'm just going to land on it anywhere. Now, it's a very small planet, and small ones are a little bit harder than big planets because you've got to get the angle right, as you see in a minute. Right. So just let it get bigger and bigger. Now, in this case, as I said, I've not got any chosen landing spot. So what you want to aim for is a spot about 20% of the way down the planet. So if you're looking for a particular spot, like say you're landing at a station on the planet, or some feature or other that you've identified from that you got targeted from your um, navigation panel, it'll appear as a mark on the planet. So you need to position yourself so that it comes about there. So you'll do that when we come to the station, where I've got my cursor. So just fly in. Now, you need to make sure that timer stays above 7 seconds all the time. And the problem now is that gravity um, affects your speed and throttle a little bit. It comes and goes. So you need to keep an eye on that timer, which is a bit tricky when that's better. So somewhere around about there. So if I wanted to land in that white at the top, you know, hang on, let's say I wanted to land there. I saw something like a big crater or something. Oh, I want that. What I'd have to do is like fly this way a bit, and then to make that point come at the edge. Let's say it was out now over there. So this is the sort of angle which you can come in at. But as I said, the timer must stay below 7 seconds. Now, once you see the blue line on the left, that runs around the plate. Once you get inside that, these scales appear, and you get coordinates down the bottom right of or sort of the right-hand side of the HUD, and underneath that is the gravity, and it's 0.15, which is moderate, it's not too bad. You need to be mindful of the gravity all the time. Right, so once that the height crosses where it says 0°C, this, if you're too steep, that red curtain will come. That's at 60 degrees. So you can land anywhere above that, but you want to come down, you know, somewhere between about 45 and 53 if you can. But it doesn't matter as long as you're not steeper than 60 degrees. If you're steeper than 60 degrees, you'll crash, and you have to go back out and start again. And also, if the timer goes below 5 seconds, or if it gets to 5 seconds normally, then same thing, you'll be going too fast and you'll crash. So as long as I keep above that red curtain now, I can come in at that angle. So I'm looking around here, think, oh, that's a nice crater. I want to go in there. So just point to it. So it's coming at 28 degrees now. So just keep coming slowly, and then eventually go bang, and you'll enter the orbital cruise, the glide. So just keep pointing. You've got no control over the speed of your ship now. It's like gliding in until it's ready to exit the glide, which it does itself. Glide complete. There you are. Once the glide's complete, you've now got control of your ship again. So you can boost around. Don't boost into the gravity. Be mindful of the gravity because it's pulling you down all the time. So now that scale shows that height still. It's at 3 kilometers roughly. So I want to go a bit forward. Say I want to go to the bottom of that mound. Don't know how far it is. Whoops, I need some pips. It's difficult to get a sense of scale when you're in 2D like this. But you get the idea anyway. So that's how you'd approach it. Then, when you're ready to land, see, I'm getting lower all the time since I'm pointing at 45 degrees downwards. So when you're ready to land, make your ship horizontal. That's quite important because if there's high gravity, your thrusters can't hold you up. Um, so we haven't got, I mean, 0.1, it's 0.23 gravity. That's relatively high. Now, if it's a high gravity one, what you might want to do is just toggle on and off flight assist because the flight assist thrusters holding you up. So you just like reduce it a bit. So you should see it start to go down a bit, just a little bit. See, I've put it back on again now. Oh, there it is on. So that lets you down nice and gently as well. Toggle on, off, a little bit at a time. And you can see I'm just going down like a metre or so at a time. That's how to make like a really gentle landing. But we don't need to do that for now because the gravity isn't that dangerous considering the shields we've got. Right, so you need to get your landing gear down. So let's get down to the ground now. So there's a bit of a run on, so just be careful. Now, as you get close, you see what's happened on the radar, and you can see at the moment there's a blue circle underneath my ship at the bottom of that line on the radar. Now whoop, didn't mean to do that. As you move along, I mean this is good, it's turned red. Where it's red you can't land, so it has to be blue to land. And you'll see some symbols come in the middle of the HUD telling you which way to like tilt your ship. So sometimes it's on a slope. Oops, so oops, got a bit of throttle. So I damaged the shields a little bit. So 0 throttle. That's telling me which way I've got to tilt to land. So this way and that way. And that's the alignment okay now. And then just down thrust. Again, you can hold the down thrust while you're doing that if you want, and just rock your ship about. That'll normally get it to latch. So you can see we are on a little bit of a tilt. So that's how to land on a planet. Now, we want to get the SRV out. So I always use the roll panel for that. So here it is here. That's the down panel. So you got left, right, up for comms, down for the SRV. Click on that one and deploy. And the SRV will always come out pointing backwards to your ship. So if you're going to, if time is of the essence, you need to dash in and scan something and dash back. Always park with your ship pointing away so that you come in the right direction. So now you can drive your SRV. Your throttle makes you go backwards and forwards, and your yaw or whatever you set to it turns it right and left. Now we got the thrusters as well. So when you press the thruster, you go up and bounce back down again. And if you set the pitch and yaw right, which I probably haven't because I just took a guess at it, when you're up, yeah, that's right. No, the pitch is wrong, backwards. So you can control the ship, the SRV, when it's in the air. So I'm just going to pause while I adjust that. Right, that's sorted now. So what you can do now is fly the SRV like a ship. And you've got pitch and roll control and land it again. So that's useful for jumping things. You can even jump rock, like when you're running along, if your wheel hits a big rock, it'll stop the ship or spin it round or something. Let's see if I can hit that one. That went over that. But yeah, it looks like it did take, there's a nice big one. I'm just going to run into it. And you'll see that I've lost a bit of hull. The shields are still there. The shields don't protect you. 94%. So hull's going down and down and down. I've got nothing to repair it with. So you don't want to bash into rocks. And if you find you're at a point where you're going so fast you can't avoid it, you can fly over it. Like that. So this is a high gravity planet, so it's very easy to control the SRV. It's steering like a car, staying planted on the ground, and that's quite good. When you get to like a 0.01 gravity or something like that, there's nothing holding the grip of the tyres, so you spin all over the place when you're steering. If you turn too sharply like that, what will happen is it'll just completely spin. If I go high speed, I'm going to put 4 pips to. Why is my pips not working? Oh, something else I've got to sort. I won't do that now. But Yeah, if you've got 4 pips to engines, you can drive much more quickly. And if you turn, it sort of spins out. I can't do it on this planet because the gravity's quite good. But you'll find that it's spinning all over the place. But here's a trick. If you need to escape from anybody, go backwards at full speed. So always escape backwards because it won't spin when you go backwards. It's very, very stable. Whoever designed it didn't design it right. And as long as you don't hit anything, you can go as fast as you like and you're in complete control. See how it jumped that jump there? It just stays stable, even on low gravity ones. But if you do that going forward, you spin all over the place. So that's a little hint about driving. And so what do we do next? We can shoot some rocks. Right, I'll better do the scanner thing. Right, if you look at the scanner in front of the main radar, there's all sorts of symbols on there. That's the one at the top now. Anything above the bottom is a man-made object, and of course it's my ship. It's picking up on the radar. So what we can do, if you're going to stay here for a while, we can get rid of the ship on the panel. So again, you click on that scarab thing, dismiss ship. And what that'll do, where's the ship gone? There it is, sends your ship up into space and into safety. And if you want a really good laugh, jump your SRV onto the top of the ship before it takes off, see how long you can stay on, and then fly the SRV back down and try and make a safe landing. Right, anyway, so that's gone now. So you got these things on the radar, and what they are, they're rocks and things like that. So they start off spread out, and as you get closer, they narrow down. So I'm picking out those ones on the left. There is actually something. I just saw a faint hint of something up in something above as well. So it's not you'll figure out how it works. Where are we? I've just moved around a bit. There they are, they're over there. And when you get close, a white dot will appear on your radar. There it is. So I've got one in front of, I've got the white dot on there. I was just going to say there's another one going to appear on the left, but there it is. So you can target it, and it's a bronzite chondrite. So there's different ones. Metallic rich have got the rarest things in. These have got the next level. There's outcrops. Sometimes they have good stuff in as well. So if you're sitting about this distance, you can shoot. You've got to go to combat mode. Sorry, you can shoot it, and then it breaks into fragments, and that's it's quite easy on this planet because they fall back down to the ground. On low gravity ones, they fly up in the sky and take ages and spread out all over the place. Right, so the fragments, you can see what they are on your contacts panel. So sulfur, iron and sulfur, so nothing particularly valuable, but they're useful for synthesis. So what happens if you're facing them and you press the target button, it always targets the furthest one. So if you want the nearest one, press it a second time. And what you can do then, next thing is the cargo scoop. Put that down, and what it'll do is scoop those up. So you've got to have the cargo scoop down. You can leave this cargo scoop down all the time. It doesn't interfere with anything or anything. So once you've landed, you might want to just do that. So now all you have to do is run over it, and as soon as you've got it, if you're lucky, did I get it? If you press the target button quick again, you can get the next one. Otherwise, you've got to do this going backwards and forwards. And what's left of the rock, if you get your wheel on it, it gets terribly stuck. Oops, there's one there. See, I'm all right if I go dead centre. It's just if you get your wheel right on it, you get stuck. So I've got all those. We'll just do this one. So a mesoiderite. spun a bit there. Yeah, if you like come over a hill with throttle and turn on, that's when it spins. So same thing, shoot it. So I'm going to target directly, carbon. Well, see how it's got the furthest, it always gets the furthest one. Tungsten, so that's more valuable. So you can get all these things just by driving backwards and forwards. There seems to be a bit of a problem with the target symbols. See how you normally get the double white chevrons. I'm not too sure what causes it, but sometimes you don't get that. It seems to forget. You just get that funny little bit in the middle. So that's how to collect materials. So whether we've got enough to synthesize anything yet, I don't know. But look. And if you go too far away, they disappear off the radar. So it's another one where the chevrons have disappeared on that one, you see. Right, so we've got a few materials. Don't forget to use the brake if you want to stop. It makes the ship much more controllable. Now, there is something in front. See what's up in the air? Sorry, I don't mean up in the air. On the radar, just sort of at 1 o'clock, there's some sign of a trace coming on there. So what I'm going to do is go and investigate that and see what it is. Right, getting close now. And you can see it's breaking up into like individual signals. So it's probably discarded cargo of some sort. Let's take this one first. There it is. So there must be a crash ship or something like that somewhere around Ta'afit, whatever that is. So in the old days, these were worth some money, so we used to pick them up. But it's just not worth it. You can only pick up 2 at a time. So what I'd have to do is recall my ship, pick up 2, put them on there. So you do that with the, I don't know when it comes up here. No, your ship's got to be there. If you look down there, it'll say transfer cargo. But you've got to be underneath the ship, like when you're going to get back on it. So we'll have a look at the other ones. Could just where they've normally come from somewhere. So there'll be a signal somewhere round about, and there might be some skimmers or stingers, whatever they are, guarding a stash. And there'll be like a little red fence on your radar showing where, if you go in there, they'll attack you. As long as you stand outside and grin at them, they don't care. But once you get inside the red fence marked on your radar, they'll go for you. So nothing of particular interest. So the sort of things you find, well, you can find anything, but sometimes there's fallen down beacons. Oh, here we go. There was a red fence. I wasn't looking. I was just looking at my radar. So can you see the red fence on the radar? So there's the, for target them, sentry skimmer. So they're bad guys. They're wanted. So I don't know where they come from. So I'm using the radar now. You can see I can go down the edge of the fence. So you can taunt them. So all there is in there, I think, is cargo. So I'm not too interested in it. So you can shoot them. You don't have to go into turret mode for this. But remember, if you want to run away, you run away backwards. See, I'm outside the fence. So boom, they went pretty easy. They dance about a bit sometimes. So this one's decided to get me. Unfortunately, I can't do them a pip, so... I can't get my my weapons really going. That's it. So now, once you've got them out the way, so we got some money for that, not much, but you can see what they're guarding. So you get this warning when you go in there that you've gone in the protected zone, but there's nobody to interfere with us now. So is that what they're guarding? Platinum. So nothing else there. So we used to call that scavenging. You won't find. I don't know whether you find that like in deep space, but you know, if you're like exploring rounds the bubble, you find that. So I'm out of there now. So that's how to shoot things. We've shot rocks. We've shot some skimmers. They don't put much fights. You know, normally like any battle, you have to do your pips. So what you normally do is just cruise round looking for rocks. So there's one in front of me. Just run to it and shoot it and get the stuff. We've done flying. That's another mesoiderite. Although you start to recognise all the symbols, but in the beginning you probably need a mix of everything. So more sulphur. So I've still got my scoop down. So if you want to be quick, you just... Oh, another thing, if you take pips off the engines, like with your ship, it makes it easier to control. That's because I can't adjust my pips. Because I haven't done the key bindings right for some reason or other. It's a bit lively. Right, so that's SRV. So now we want to get back in our ship. So just park up and then lower panel, SRV, recall ship. And it'll appear by magic in the sky somewhere and then come in and land. So we've got, I can see it on the radar now. So I'm going to just take off the handbrake. So if we could see it, it'd be up there somewhere. You'll see a green symbol come. So it's taking its time. There it is. So other ships will be up there as well. So occasionally you see other ships. Right, there it is. Now, don't be too quick to fly to it. What it does, it comes down and hovers about, 20 meters up or something, and then decides to land. And if you're too quick to it, sometimes it seems to change its mind and go back up in the air again and find another landing spot. So just let it settle down until ready to approach then. And normally the way to come in is from the back, but if you're in a big ship, sometimes you can get in from the side. It doesn't matter which way you're pointing, but you have to be under that, under the door. So generally, it's when it's just disappeared out of cockpit view. Now, to use the handbrake, and that holds you steady. Then it stops you from like keep shuffling forwards and back while you're trying to work the other controls. So again, the down panel one, SRV. Now this is where you transfer the cargo. If you had some, you get these two screens, and you have to like move it from one to the other, and then hit the transfer button. So be careful of that. It's not just moving it from one to the other. You actually have to hit the transfer button. Go back. And so here we are again. So it's just board ship, and you go up in an elevator. The wheels fold up, and then you're back in the ship. So you don't have to transfer. If you're getting back on your ship with your two canisters of cargo, you can just get on, and mysteriously it'll transfer automatically. The other interesting thing is that when you launch the SRV again, unless they fix it in the future, it comes back with 100% hull. So that's a way of repairing it as well. But it doesn't refuel it. So the only way, it gradually runs out of fuel, and then when it's run out, you have to synthesize fuel or go back to the ship. So that's a planetary landing. We'll do a landing at a station now, if we can find one. So you just vertical thrust up, and then when you're clear, point up at the sky, boost. Oh, got my landing gear down still. And you see the scale now, it's got the angle in the middle, sort of. That's you want to aim for about, it's close to 90 degrees. When you're sort of near to it, it sort of swaps around, see, like that, or it sometimes goes like that. That means you're going in the right direction. Now, the quickest way to get away from a planet is at right angles. So as soon as your mass lock's gone out, you can hit the frameshift drive, and it gives you an escape vector. Now, if the place you're jumping to is up in the sky, it'll let you jump directly to it. But if it's underneath the planet, you know, the opposite side, you're blocked by the planet, then you have to use your Super Cruise button to go into Super Cruise and fly up until you get clear of the planet. So you normally have to wait till this whole scale things on the HUD have disappeared before you're far enough away to be able to point at the one you want to get to. But it depends. If it was just on the horizon, then even now we'd be able to jump, point to it and jump to it because we've gone up. But if it's like right round the other side, then you've got to go like very high. What I normally do, I look at it on the mini radar and then, tilt over till I'm about 70 degrees. That gives you a little bit of an extra help getting towards it before you can get your frameshift drive going, your jumping one going. Right, so we're back in Super Cruise now, so I want to find a planet station to land at. Right, so I've nipped back to Diaguandri, and I'm going to land at a station on a planet here. So remember, these planets with the blue are all landable, so you can go and have a look at some of those if you want. These ones with the pips on have got stations on. So this is an orbiting station. So if I click on this one, something not right with my control. Oh, I've got my throttle. Right, so this one here zooms in on it. So here we are. So it's got a couple of bases. And this one here, the round one with a big tower in the middle, is a proper station. And we can check it here, what facilities it has. Docking, exploration, commodities, refuel, etc., etc., etc. So going to go there and land. Now, same as normal at a normal station, 100% throttle. When you get to 7 seconds, 75% throttle, and let's approach it. Now, as you get close, there's a blue ring around it. You want to stay outside that until you've got your target landing place in the right position. So as you get close, you find out whether it's on the other side of the planet or not when that yellow circle goes dotted. So it's looks like it's going to be on this side. Right. So we need to get the center of that circle about 20% of the way across the planet. So I'm just going to come in from this side a little bit. So a bit more. I'm still at 3/4 throttle. So better be safe than sorry, so a bit more. Once you've got in that sort of position, you can then start to sort of come towards it. So I've got my cursor above it to steepen the angle a little bit. So now I've just reduced the throttle right down to 0. It's running on a bit. Now you've got to be very careful. What I'll do now is aim at 10 seconds. Right. Again, we've got the red curtain. You need to be over that. The trick is to be able to come in as steep as possible, which will take the least amount of time. But what happens is the gravity goes up and down, so you need to be quick on the throttle. If you see that timer start to go downwards, like to below 7 seconds, ease off on the throttle quickly. And the same as before, when we landed on the planet. Now, as you get closer, you'll find that you need to open up the throttle more and more and more to keep the timer down. I'm at full throttle now. That's it. Then I've gone into the cruise, the glide. The throttle doesn't do anything at this point, so you can use the opportunity to get ready for docking permission. Oops, did I get it? Yeah. So you can do that while get ready while you're in cruise, and as soon as you drop out, you're ready to hit the request docking permission, because you'll be about 5 kilometers out if you came in nice and steep. So I normally just fly a little bit to it. Again, gravity 1.13 is, yeah, it's not too bad. So we've got a docking computer, so we could use that. So you could just engage the docking computer as soon as you drop out, but I like to, I find that you can save a few seconds generally if you like fly up to the thing, but just be mindful of the gravity, because if you fly straight towards it, you might not be able to stop and you go crashing into the ground. On a planet, always check the gravity on the bottom of the scale on the right there. Right, so yeah, we can just have a quick look and see how much extra money we got for those planets. I actually did 3 of them. So let's see if we can find there they go. Look, it's got like 2.5 million extra. So did it tell me which ones? Yeah, here they are. So Christ, that's a lot. For each of those 2 planets that I detailed surface scan, bearing in mind we'd already FSS'd them before and got about 600,000 for them, I think, or 300,000. Now we've got 1.2 million for each. So we'll have that. So now we're up to 5. I mean, that's enough to get a reasonable diamond back now. So if you're following this video series, what you could do is just outfit like I've done here, jump back to that system, Arietis, was it? I can't remember which one it was, but you've just seen it on the screen there. Fly back to that, detail surface scan those 2 planets, come back here, you got another 2.5 million. Now, in total, we got 5 million plus the value of this ship, which is worth, I think it's probably about 1 million or so. So you got about 6 million to play with. At Diagwandry, at Ray Gateway, you get a 15% discount. So that 5 million becomes 6.5 million. Is that right? No. Five, yeah, 6 million. It'll be worth. So you got 6 million to spend on a Diamondback. And I think with what I showed you before, you could get a reasonable one. You won't get the A frame shift drive, but you get a C and some other stuff. But you need 10 million to get it complete, so you could just go back and scan a few more planets or do the road to riches. You haven't got to do many before you got your 10 million. Probably less than an hour. So that's exploration. Oh, one thing I didn't show you is the bindings for the SRV. So here's the bindings for the SRV. There's quite a few of them. It's a little bit confusing. Basically, what you want is one to steer left and right, one to steer um, to pitch and yaw when you're in the air, when you've used the thruster thing, and one to roll when you're in the air. They're the main controls to move the thing around, but you want something for the cargo hatch to drop that. You want something to fire the weapons, and although I'm not going to do it in this video, you want one for turret mode, because in some missions and things, you do need to use the turret to be able to point it, when you're aiming at specific things up in the, above the ground. So you want a button to enter the turret mode and leave the turret mode. All that does is change the point of view, so your head's in the turret instead of looking out the main windscreen. And So it's a turret. Well, let's just go through them. Right. So, driving is the one we want. So this drive assist is like flight assist. It affects the behaviour of the thing in the air when you've used the thrusters. But to be honest, I can't tell the difference. So some people seem to be able to, but um, the default is on, and that's fine. You be able to fly it just like your ship. Um, Steering, so you can do it with buttons or joystick or the mouse or whatever. So there's the roll. That's when you're in the air, and pitch. The vertical thrusters is the thing that pushes you up into the air. And then fire buttons, so one to fire off your weapons. That would be the same one as you have on your normal weapons. There's no secondary fire button. No, you can't have any. There's nothing else to fire. So I've never ever had it other than one button. The handbrake is quite important because, like, when you're trying to get it back into the ship, you need to hold it still underneath. And what you can do with just a little bit of throttle, if like if you're struggling to line up with the hatch, especially when you're in a big ship, just park a little bit, not far enough as it were, with a little bit of throttle on, and then bring up the panel where it says board ship, but it'll be readied out, and then just like toggle on and off the brake, and it inches you forward a bit at a time until you see that the red's turned to yellow, and then you can board the ship. So it's, if you're on a cutter or an anaconda or something like that, that's a good way of doing it because the thing's so high up you can't see when you're underneath it. Headlights, yeah, if it's dark, but that'd be the same as what you got for your ship lights, and you can do it in the right-hand panel, switch them on, so you don't need to worry about that. So there's the turret one that you need. No, there aren't any other weapons. So there's never a need to do fire groups. Uh, Driving, targeting. So that's the normal select target ahead that you've been using all through the game for this ship. Use the same button. The turret controls. Uh, yeah, when you're in a turret, you need to be able to like turn it from side to side and up and down. So um, I've got a couple of axes on my joystick there. Or you can put buttons in there, keys if it's a keyboard. Um, Turret, pitch, it's the same thing. And that'd be the sensitivity of these buttons. I don't know whether it affects the joystick. So next one, the throttle, same as your ship. Use the same throttle. Um, and like in your ship, I didn't mention this before. Um, I always use a full range throttle so that when you pull it back, you go backwards. You push it forward, you go forward. Um, so if you have a forward only one, then you need the button. This in here, the button that changes from forward to backwards. You don't need that if you've got full range. Um, Acceleration. I don't use those. Don't use any of those. Driving miscellaneous. So here's the pips which I hadn't done. I must have got them on well, they are done, but I didn't know what they were on. I've got so many hats and buttons on my joysticks, unless I've got a written down map, I don't know what they are because I got new sticks and they're absolutely full of buttons. Um, the cargo scoop, which you need, you don't need to jettison cargo or you can assign keys or buttons to those if you want, but I find it easier to use the panels. Buttons will be quicker. It's up to you. And driving mode switches, what does that do? There's your panels. Use the same ones as what you got in your ships to, you got the contacts panel, the modules panel and everything, and comms and the roll panel to bring up the SRV stuff. So that's all the same as it is in your ship. Again, you can have the open up the maps directly with keystrokes if you want. Um, then I never needed to use the maps when I'm in the SRV. I always do it when I'm in the ship. so never had anything in there. And cockpit mode, yeah, you do need, yeah, generally you want to be in combat mode. I can't think if there's anything where you need discovery mode in the SRV, because you need to shoot things from time to time, but there, you haven't got any discovery scanners, so can't think of anything time where you'd need that. There's your head look, and that's it. So that's the key bindings. They look a bit complicated, but it's very straightforward. Quick summary again. You need to be able to steer the SRV side to side. You need to be able to go backwards and forwards. You need a handbrake. Then you want thrusters to thrust it into the air to do jumps and things. And then when you're in the air, you need to be able to pitch and roll. Oh, one other thing, if you get the SRV stuck, like I did mention that if you get the wheels stuck in the on a rock or something, you can use the thrust to get off. And the pips help a lot as well if your wheel's stuck. 4 pips to engines and to like use the wheel to get off, and 4 pips to thrusters to get a really good thrust to like untangle it from whatever it's stuck on. And whatever structure you touch with the SRV, it sticks to it like glue. So just remember that. Try not to like run into anything. Um, yeah, so that's those. Then you want the turret one for when you're doing missions. Um, Otherwise, you don't need it. And I think that covers all the main things. Get done the weapons, the cargo hatch to scoop stuff up. So uh, that's it for bindings. So that's it for exploration. You're only limited by your own imagination and where you want to go and what you want to do. Um, I can't give any guidelines for that. Everybody does exploration in different ways. Oh, there is one more thing I can show you. That's in this panel, the Codex, I mean. So this discoveries here, and it tells you where you are and what you found so far. So I don't know if you remember the Observer's book of moths, insects, cars, trains, geology, the sky, all sorts of things like that. They had these books, and they had all these different features of what's in there, like there's different moths, different insects, and they gave you a picture and a description of what they were and that sort of thing. And then you had to go out and find them, and when you found them, you ticked it and said where you found it or something. And then when you filled up the book, you could send it off and get a badge for it. This is back in the like 50s and 60s, so if you have to be quite old. I don't know how long they did that. They're still available now, I think. So maybe you did that. So this can be a little bit like that if you want to make a game of exploration. So you'll see all these sectors here. They've divided up the whole galaxy into sectors. So you can click on any one, and it tells you various things. And my discovery is 0. It tells you the things that's there or that they know about so far. So of course, if you find something new there, it gets added to the list and your name against it. But some people like to go and go to each sector, find all these things, and tick them all off, put them in there. So you could have fun with that. Take you a long time to get to these places of the abyss. That'd be good. So there's biological and geological things out there, a whole load of different 57 types of astronomical bodies, and you can spend a year exploring that and finding all these things, tick them off, and then go on to the next one, um, if you want to. But people do exploration in different ways. Some people do it for money. Some people do it for the fame of finding something new. Some people want to explore mysteries and things. Some people just like to see all the planets. Some people like to find strange things and whatever. So, you know, it's up to you. Right, the next one I'm going to do, this is episode 4, exploration. The next episode, episode 5, will be mining. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one if you want. And if you have any comments, any questions, put them in the comments. and I'll try and answer them for you.